chosen one. The moment you made your choice, heaven fell silent. The angels who have witnessed the very foundations of the earth being created, who have stood in the presence of the Almighty, who have seen battles fought on the divine plains and the triumph of light over darkness, even they were astounded. The weight of your decision, your act of obedience, your unwavering faith echoed throughout the spiritual realm, reverberating across time and space, making a profound impact that will forever alter your journey. This moment, when you stood at the crossroads of fear and faith, when the world around you seemed uncertain, was the moment heaven took notice. The choice you made, against all odds, to trust in God's will despite the overwhelming challenges, was not just a decision in the physical realm, it was a spiritual milestone, one that caught the attention of divine beings, angels, who have been present at the creation of worlds, the unfolding of history, and the battles of the heavens themselves, witnessed your courage and obedience in awe. This was not just any moment, it was a moment that marked a shift in the spiritual atmosphere, as if the heavens themselves held their breath, watching with wonder as you chose to walk in faith. You might not have realized the weight of that moment. It may have seemed like a simple decision, a quiet choice you made in the depths of your heart, in a moment of personal struggle or uncertainty. But know this, your decision to follow God's call in the face of fear and confusion has created ripples in the spirit realm that will never be undone. Your act of obedience was heard, not just by those around you, but by the very hosts of heaven. You stood firm, and in doing so, you shifted the course of your own destiny. This message is divinely appointed for you. Everything you've gone through, every challenge you faced, every moment of doubt and uncertainty has led you to this divine moment. Your decision to choose God's path, despite all the fears and doubts that tried to hold you back, is the catalyst for the divine movement that is now taking place in your life. Heaven is taking notice of your choice, and God is moving on your behalf in ways that you are only beginning to understand. Your choice to follow God's will, even when the road ahead seemed unclear, is a decision that has created ripples in the spirit realm, ripples that are now shaping your future. God has been preparing you for this moment, and now that you've made your choice to walk in obedience, the heavens are opening, and divine favor is pouring forth into your life in ways that will astound you. You see, when you make the choice to follow God's plan, even in the midst of adversity, you are stepping into alignment with a divine purpose that is greater than anything you could have ever imagined. The act of obedience is not merely about following a set of rules. It's about stepping into the flow of God's will, where His blessings, favor, and power begin to operate in your life with supernatural force. This moment of choice, your surrender to God's plan, has marked a significant shift in the spiritual atmosphere. The decision you made is not just about today or tomorrow. It is about God's divine orchestration in your life. It's about your alignment with the grand narrative that God is writing. And as you have chosen to be a part of His story, He is moving on your behalf in a way that will change the trajectory of your life and those around you. Imagine for a moment the powerful impact of your choice. In the midst of your uncertainty, you chose to trust God. In the face of doubt, you decided to step out in faith, believing that God's promises are real and true. You might have felt small, insignificant, or even unworthy at the time, but the moment you said yes to God's call, something extraordinary happened. Heaven took notice, and the divine forces began to move in your favor. When you chose obedience, you chose to step into a new season of blessings, favor, and purpose. You might not yet fully grasp the magnitude of this decision, but rest assured, the impact of your obedience will be felt not only in your life but in the lives of everyone around you. God's favor is no longer a distant hope. It is now activated and will begin to unfold in your life in ways that you've never experienced before. Your decision to obey God, even when it was difficult, even when it didn't make sense, positions you for the fullness of His promises. This isn't just about receiving blessings for today. This is about stepping into the fullness of the life God has always intended for you. The favor you have activated with your obedience will be the key to unlocking the doors to the future that God has prepared for you. As God moves on your behalf, expect to see the blessings you have been waiting for begin to manifest. What once seemed far off and impossible will now come to you quickly. With divine speed and accuracy, relationships that once felt broken or distant will be restored, and new connections will be forged in a way that aligns with your divine purpose. The favor you've been waiting for will show up not as a trickle, but as a flood, and it will not just impact your own life, but the lives of those who are connected to you. The choices you make today will not just affect you in the present, they will ripple across your future, shaping the legacy you leave behind. The blessings that are being activated now are not just for you, they are part of God's bigger plan for those around you. Your obedience is setting the stage for generational favor, prosperity, and blessing. You have been chosen for such a time as this. Your obedience has unlocked a divine opportunity that will change the course of your life. The decision you made to trust God has paved the way for divine favor to flow into every area of your life. And now that the heavens have responded, it is time to walk in the fullness of what God has prepared for you. I want you to take a moment and affirm in your spirit that you are ready to receive the divine favor that is now being poured into your life. The season of waiting is over, and the moment of unveiling has arrived. You have chosen to follow God's call, and now you are walking in the fullness of His promises. This is not just about receiving blessings, it is about manifesting your divine purpose in ways that will not only bless you but will change the world around you. You are ready for this. God has positioned you for greatness, and everything you have gone through has been preparing you for this divine moment. Your obedience has unlocked a season of favor and transformation that will impact every area of your life: relationships, finances, career, and purpose. This is your time. You are not just a recipient of blessings, you are a vessel of divine purpose. Your obedience has set the course for your life. And as you step into this new season, you are walking in the fullness of God's calling. Trust the process, because everything you need will be provided. Now, it's time for you to declare your readiness to walk in the fullness of God's favor. Type 777 in the comments to make your public declaration of obedience and faith. By doing so, you are affirming that you are ready to receive everything that God has prepared for you, and to walk confidently into the divine destiny that has been set aside for you. This isn't just a gesture, it's a statement of faith, a commitment to step forward with confidence and trust that God is moving on your behalf. Additionally, I encourage you to share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who is ready to step into the divine favor that is awaiting them. Invite them to join the journey, and encourage them to subscribe for more empowering messages that continue to strengthen, guide, and lead them to the fullness of their spiritual purpose. This is your moment. Walk into it. Step forward in confidence, knowing that God is with you every step of the way. The blessings are not only for today, they are setting the stage for your legacy. Claim it now, for the time has come to unveil the fullness of your divine purpose. The moment you made your choice to follow God's will, heaven fell silent. Imagine for a moment the immense significance of this. Everything around you, every being in the spiritual realm, from the highest archangels to the smallest seraphim, paused to witness your decision. This wasn't just another fleeting moment. This was a pivotal decision. One that sent a shockwave through the spiritual atmosphere, reaching into the very heart of God's divine plan. And in this moment, heaven took notice of your obedience. You see, obedience is not a small thing in the eyes of God. It is the confirmation of your trust in Him, the alignment of your heart with His will, and the affirmation of your commitment to fulfill your purpose. And in this moment, when you stood on the precipice of fear and faith, when the road ahead seemed uncertain, and the world around you called you to retreat, you made a decision that heaven would never forget. Heaven paused. Angels who have seen light break through the first dawn, who have witnessed the very creation of the cosmos and stood at the foot of God's throne, held their breath as they watched you choose obedience in the face of overwhelming circumstances. You may not have felt the weight of the moment, but spiritually, it was a milestone, an act that would echo in the heavens for eternity. You see, the unseen forces in the universe took notice. Every angel, every celestial being, watched as you made your stand. They saw you in the midst of fear. And in that moment, you chose faith over fear. You chose to walk in God's will, even when the path wasn't clear. And the entire spiritual realm responded to that decision. What you might have seen as a simple choice may be made in a moment of frustration, prayer, or surrender was, in fact, the aligning of your soul with your divine purpose. The heavens witnessed this alignment and marveled at your unwavering commitment to God's plan. The angels, who have witnessed the great battles of the divine, the rebellion of Lucifer, and the triumph of God's kingdom over the forces of darkness, looked upon your act of obedience and were astonished. This decision wasn't just another act of human faith. It was a cosmic moment. Your surrender to God's plan didn't just impact your life, it rippled through the very fabric of the universe. In your decision to align with God, you created a shift in the spiritual atmosphere that will continue to resonate throughout eternity. The choice to follow God, despite fear, despite uncertainty, despite the challenges ahead, was not a small decision. It was a life-altering moment, one that activated divine favor and marked the beginning of something significant. Heaven held its breath as you made the decision, because what you may not realize is that your obedience today will impact generations to come. The angels watched as you chose to serve God with everything in you, and in that surrender, heaven acknowledged you as one who aligns with God's perfect purpose. The significance of your decision cannot be overstated. This was not just a momentary choice in the context of your life. It was a choice that shifted the spiritual atmosphere. It was as if the entire heavenly realm turned its gaze to you and waited in anticipation as you stood at the crossroads of obedience and disobedience, faith and fear. Your decision to stand firm in God's will, even when everything seemed impossible, has changed everything. Angels, who have witnessed the glory of God in its fullest form, stood in awe of your decision. These are the same angels who saw the first light break through the darkness in the creation of the world. They have seen the birth of stars, the formation of galaxies, and the unfolding of God's eternal plan. Yet, when you made the choice to step into God's will, they paused to witness the unfolding of another sacred moment in the grand design of the Creator. Think about it. These angels have seen it all: the fall of Lucifer, the rebellion of the most powerful being ever created, and the restoration of light when God cast Lucifer out of heaven. They've watched as God's plan unfolded over eons, watching nations rise and fall, civilizations being born and dying. And yet, in this moment of obedience, the heavens recognize something new, a new decision, a new surrender, a new alignment with God's will that would usher in a fresh season of favor and blessings. The heavenly realm is not indifferent to your choice. It does not passively watch as you struggle, as you wrestle with fear and doubt. No. The spiritual forces in the universe are intently observing, for they know the weight of your decision. When you chose God's will, you chose to step into the destiny He had already prepared for you. And heaven was moved by the purity of your heart and your willingness to trust in Him. In making this choice, you aligned yourself with the will of God in a way that will reap eternal rewards. This decision has set in motion a series of events that will unlock the blessings and promises of God over your life. Not just for today, but for generations to come. You are part of a divine story, and your decision to obey has created a ripple effect that will change the lives of others, those in your immediate circle, and those who will come after you. The legacy of your obedience will be felt far beyond the moments you are currently living. Your act of obedience, your stand of faith, has created a spiritual breakthrough. You have not only changed the trajectory of your life, you have affected the course of history. God's decision to bring favor into your life is now activated. Heaven is watching, not with indifference, but with great anticipation, because it knows that this decision is part of the greater plan, a plan that spans far beyond your life, touching many others and extending the favor of God across generations. It is impossible to fully grasp the weight of your decision without understanding the vastness of God's purpose for your life. When you made your decision to walk in obedience to His call, you did more than just align with your own desires. You aligned yourself with the unfolding of God's eternal plan. This decision goes beyond the immediate, personal blessings that will follow. It is part of the greater purpose God has written for your life, which will extend far beyond your own experience. You were created for a specific purpose. God has been waiting for you to step into this moment of obedience, because this is the moment when you are aligned with His plan in a way that will transform not only your life, but the lives of others. This divine moment isn't just about personal victory, it's about changing the world around you. Your choice to obey and stand firm has positioned you to be a vessel of change, a blessing to others, and a beacon of divine favor. God has equipped you for this moment. Your life has been shaped by the struggles you've faced, the challenges you've overcome, and the moments of doubt you've conquered. Every step you've taken, whether in joy or sorrow, has prepared you for the weight of this decision. And now that you've stepped forward in obedience, you will see the fruits of your choice unfold. What you've done is sacred. You've aligned your will with God's divine purpose. And now heaven is rejoicing. As the spiritual realm watches, your obedience resonates in eternity. The decision to stand firm has shifted everything. No longer are you merely walking through life. You are now walking in alignment with God's eternal plan. And that alignment will unlock opportunities, favor, and blessings that you never could have expected. In this section, we've seen how heaven witnessed your act of obedience. The angels were astounded, as your choice to stand firm in faith created a shift in the spiritual realm. Your decision is not just about you. It is a pivotal moment in the grand design that is unfolding before you. Heaven took notice because your obedience will not only affect your life, but will reverberate across generations. You've aligned with God's divine purpose, And this decision will set into motion the blessings, favor, and destiny God has been preparing for you. Your life is a witness to God's faithfulness, and your obedience is the key that has unlocked the next season of divine favor. Obedience to God is often tested in the face of adversity. It is in the moments when the path ahead seems murky, when the odds feel insurmountable, and when the world screams at you to take a different direction, that your faith is put to the ultimate test. It is one thing to obey God when everything is going well, when the sun is shining and the road ahead looks clear and smooth. But it is an entirely different thing when fear rises up and presses against your resolve, when uncertainty clouds your judgment, and when the weight of the world pushes you to turn away from God's direction. But in those moments, it is your obedience that holds the key to unlocking God's favor, to aligning yourself with His will. When you choose faith over fear, you choose to stand firm in your conviction, to believe in God's promises despite your circumstances. Faith is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to trust God in the face of that fear. It is the willingness to obey, not because the path is clear or the future is guaranteed, but because you believe God is faithful and that He will lead you through whatever challenges lie ahead. For the viewer, choosing faith in the face of fear was not a passive decision, it was an act of strength. The world may have been pressing in, doubts may have crowded your mind, and the voices around you may have told you to turn back or settle for less. But you chose to stand firm in faith. You chose to obey God's call, even when the path ahead seemed unclear, even when the circumstances screamed at you to doubt. This decision is momentous. Obedience in the face of uncertainty and adversity doesn't just show that you believe in God's ability to help you. It reveals a deep trust that His plan is better than any fear or doubt that could ever arise. Obedience moves heaven. Heaven doesn't respond to our perfect behavior or our ideal circumstances. It responds to our willingness to trust and follow God despite what we face. This is the essence of faith. Choosing to obey even when everything around you says you're crazy for doing so. When the world pulls at you, when every fiber of your being wants to retreat. Choosing obedience over fear is not about perfection. It's about faith. It's about trusting in God's goodness when everything seems uncertain. God sees your heart, and it is your willingness to trust and obey Him that pleases Him, not the ease of the path. Obedience during hardship is a heavenly transaction. Your faith becomes the key that unlocks divine favor, blessings, and breakthroughs. Heaven doesn't wait for you to be perfect, but it does respond to your obedience. And your obedience through hardship speaks volumes about the depth of your faith. There are seasons in life when it feels as though God is silent. These are the times when, despite your best efforts, you feel like you're stuck waiting, wondering, longing for answers. You've prayed, you've hoped, and yet, the heavens seem to be silent. But what if I told you that God's silence is not abandonment? What if I told you that in these silent seasons, God is working behind the scenes, preparing you for a moment of favor that is about to be unleashed? The silence is not a sign of God's absence, but of His presence working quietly, strategically in the background. There are times when God's work is done in the hidden places, where no applause is given, where no one sees the struggles, the waiting, or the process. But this silence is sacred. And it is in these seasons of quiet that you are being shaped and molded for what's to come. You may have felt discouraged in those silent moments, thinking, why hasn't God spoken to me? Why do I feel so alone in my waiting? But in those times, God was not inactive. He was preparing you for a divine moment of breakthrough. The waiting was not wasted. It was not in vain. The silence was holy training ground. A place where your faith could grow stronger and your trust in God could deepen. Even when you felt like you were being overlooked, even when it seemed like nothing was happening, God was still working. In those moments of silence, God was preparing your heart to hear His voice more clearly, to be able to distinguish His whispers amid the noise of life. He was cultivating patience, endurance, and trust. The waiting period was not just for you to sit idly by, but for you to develop a deepened connection with Him, one that would enable you to hear His voice more clearly when the time came for you to take action. The endurance you showed in the silence, the patience you demonstrated when you didn't know how things would turn out, is precious in God's eyes. It is during these quiet moments that your faith is refined, like gold tested by fire. Even when you couldn't hear God's voice clearly, you were being prepared to stand in a place of deep trust. You were not abandoned during this time. You were being cultivated and shaped for the blessings that were about to unfold. Your endurance through silence was not a sign of spiritual failure. It was a sign of spiritual growth. God was using this silence to train your heart, to help you build endurance, and to teach you how to hear His whispers. You were in holy classrooms, being prepared for the next season, the next level of favor that was coming your way. As the silence ended and God's favor began to manifest, you will see that this season of waiting was not only necessary, but crucial for your next breakthrough. It was in the silence that your strength was developed, your spiritual muscles were built, and your heart was made ready to receive the overflowing blessings that are about to pour into your life. The trials you faced, the moments of suffering, and the wounds you've carried along the way were not for nothing. In the moment of your pain, it may have felt as though God was distant, or that you were walking this journey alone. But those trials, those wounds, those heartbreaking moments of waiting were part of a divine process. God was using them to prepare you for something far greater than you could have imagined. The patience you exercised in the face of pain, the strength you summoned to continue moving forward when everything in you wanted to give up, this was God's work in you. You were being refined through the process, being prepared for the abundance and favor that was coming. Every trial you endured, every wound you sustained, was part of God's redemptive plan for your life. You might wonder why you had to go through the struggles, why you had to wait so long for answers, or why certain seasons of your life seemed filled with more heartache than joy. But in these moments, God was forming something beautiful in you. He was developing in you a faith that cannot be shaken by circumstances, a heart that can withstand storms without breaking, and a spirit that is ready to receive divine favor when it arrives. The patience you showed through your trials was a precious offering to God, and it was shaping you into the person who can now walk into the blessings that are unfolding before you. The wounds you've carried were not meant to break you, they were meant to heal you, to restore you, and to make you more resilient. God used these moments to help you grow in ways that you could not have understood at the time. But now, you see the purpose behind them. God's purpose is always greater than the pain you've endured. And though you may have carried the weight of hardship and silence for a time, it was not for nothing. The waiting was a refining fire that has now prepared you to step into your divine purpose with strength, confidence, and clarity. The favor you are about to experience will not be overshadowed by your past pain. Instead, it will redeem it, bringing forth a harvest of blessing from the seeds of obedience that you planted through your trials. In this section, we've discussed how obedience during adversity doesn't just lead to blessings, it moves heaven. The quiet seasons of waiting, The silence that may have felt like abandonment were actually divine preparation. The endurance you displayed through trials and wounds was a holy classroom, preparing you to receive the overflow of favor that is now unfolding in your life. Your obedience, even in silence and hardship, has positioned you for a new season, one filled with blessings, favor, and divine alignment. God used every moment of your journey to shape you into the person who is now ready to receive the full manifestation of His promises. The waiting wasn't in vain. It was the preparation for your purpose. Now, you are ready to step forward into the fullness of what God has prepared for you. There are moments in life when obedience to God feels impossible. The weight of past wounds, the scars of past battles, the emotional and spiritual weariness, these things can feel like heavy chains, pulling you back from the purpose you know you were meant to fulfill. Yet, in the midst of all that pain, you made a choice that would reverberate throughout the heavens, stirring the very angels who witnessed creation itself. You chose to surrender to God's will, even when it felt like you were still bleeding from past wounds. In the face of overwhelming circumstances, when every part of you wanted to collapse under the weight of it all, you stood tall. And that, my friend, shocked heaven. Surrender is often misunderstood as a sign of weakness. The world tells us that we must fight, struggle, and fight again to win. But God's way is different. In the spiritual realm, your act of surrender was not one of weakness. It was the catalyst for change. When you chose to let go and align yourself with God's will, despite your pain, you displayed a strength that cannot be shaken. This is a strength forged in the fires of trial. It is a power that comes from the very depths of the soul. A power that says, though I may be hurting, though I may not understand, I trust in God's plan for me. Oh, this surrender that you offered to God did not go unnoticed. The heavens watched in awe as you, in your pain, found the courage to stand firm in your faith. Every prayer, every tear, every moment you stood when you could have fallen, that was your divine surrender. And it shook the heavens because it spoke of a faith so pure, so unshakable, that it pierced through the spiritual realm, causing a ripple effect that moved angels. This act of surrender, not just with your words but with your heart, became a testament of faith that was far greater than what anyone could see on the surface. Obedience through pain is a unique kind of faith. It isn't just about saying yes when everything is easy. It's about choosing to trust, choosing to obey when the road is hard, and when you feel like you have nothing left to give. That kind of surrender holds immense power, because it speaks of a faith unshaken by circumstances. A commitment to God's will that cannot be undone by the storms of life. In that act of surrender, the heavens rejoiced. Every angel, every being in the spiritual realm, saw what you were doing not just physically, but spiritually, and they knew that this was the moment when your life would never be the same. Your obedience to God was more than a simple act. It was the beginning of a shift. It was the moment when everything you've been through began to align with the divine purpose God has for you. And this moment, this surrender, was the very thing that set the wheels of divine favor and destiny in motion. God's response to your obedience was not one of indifference. He saw your heart. He saw the pain, the struggle, and the longing that you carried deep within. And because of your obedience, He is now moving powerfully on your behalf. God has always known who you are, and He has always had a divine purpose in mind for your life. But it is through your obedience, through your willingness to surrender to His will, that the door has been opened for God to move in ways that will radically change your life. He recognizes your obedience, and He honors it. He sees your heart, your willingness to choose Him above all else. Despite the pain, despite the uncertainty, this is a truth that cannot be overstated. God has marked you. He has set you apart for something far greater than you could have ever imagined. This marking is not for punishment. This is not a sign that you have been chosen for suffering or struggle. No. This marking is a sign of greatness. God has chosen you to walk in a divine purpose, to be a vessel of His blessing, favor, and influence in this world. Your surrender, your obedience in the face of hardship, has positioned you to walk in a destiny that is both beautiful and powerful. You might have doubted your worthiness at times. You might have wondered if you were truly meant for this, meant to carry out the calling that God has for your life. But the truth is, God has marked you for greatness, and He is now preparing you to walk in that greatness. You are not forgotten, and your obedience has been seen. Heaven has noticed your faithfulness, and God's hand is upon you in a way that will bring about transformation not just in your life, but in the lives of those around you. Now, as God moves on your behalf, you are stepping into the fullness of His divine purpose. The pain, the waiting, and the trials were part of the preparation process. But now it's time for you to step into your destiny. God has been working behind the scenes, orchestrating everything so that this moment, the moment of your divine favor, would arrive at precisely the right time. Your obedience has unlocked this divine season of blessing. You are walking into the promises that God has always had for you. And as you continue to obey, God will continue to move on your behalf, bringing you into the fullness of your divine calling. The doors that once seemed closed will now swing open with effortless ease. And the favor that has been waiting for you will now begin to manifest in every area of your life. When you chose to surrender to God's will, you didn't just make a decision for your present moment, you made a decision that would shape your future. God's recognition of your obedience is the beginning of a new chapter in your life. The past may have been filled with struggles and hardships, but now, because of your choice to follow God in obedience, a new path is opening up before you. This new beginning is more than just a fresh start, it is the unfolding of divine destiny. Everything that has been aligned up to this point has brought you to this moment where you can finally step into your purpose with confidence. God's recognition of your obedience isn't just about reward, it's about alignment with His will and the fulfillment of His promises in your life. As you walk into this new season, know that you are walking into the fullness of what God has planned for you. The path ahead is clear. The way is open, and divine favor is accompanying you every step of the way. Your surrender has not only changed your present, it has set the course for your future. And this new season will be one marked by blessing, favor, and purpose in ways you could have never imagined. Now is the time to claim everything that has been set aside for you. The time of waiting is over. And this new season is the one that will unfold God's promises in a way that will impact you deeply and those around you. This is the moment where everything aligns with your divine purpose, and the favor you've been waiting for begins to manifest. In this section, we explored the incredible impact of your obedience to God, and how your act of surrender has been noticed and celebrated by the heavens. Your decision to choose faith over fear, to stand firm in God's will, even in the face of adversity, has marked you for greatness. God has recognized your obedience, and because of it, He is now moving in ways that will change the course of your life. This moment of surrender has positioned you for a divine outpouring of favor and purpose. And now you are stepping into a new season where every blessing you've longed for will begin to unfold. The favor you've prayed for is here. This is your moment to walk boldly in the destiny God has prepared for you. There are moments in life that, when viewed through the lens of the present, seem like delays, long seasons of waiting, unanswered prayers, and moments where it feels like nothing is happening. But let me assure you that in God's kingdom, there are no delays. There are only divine setups. Every season you've walked through, every challenge you've faced, and every seemingly prolonged moment of waiting was a strategic move in God's perfect plan to prepare you for the incredible future He has for you. You may have questioned, at times, why things weren't moving forward the way you expected. You may have felt like the breakthroughs you were waiting for were being delayed, as if God wasn't hearing your prayers or wasn't acting fast enough. But the truth is that God was preparing you. Every trial, every hardship, and every seemingly unfulfilled promise was part of a greater plan, a divine setup that was positioning you for a massive shift. You were being groomed, refined, and positioned for this moment. This season of overflowing blessings, and this activation of divine favor. When we look back at our lives, often we can see clearly that the waiting was not in vain. It was God's way of preparing us for what was ahead. Divine timing is something that we often fail to grasp, especially when we are in the midst of the process. We don't always understand why things are delayed or why we have to endure hardships. But the truth is, every moment of suffering and every trial you've faced has been part of the plan, shaping you and preparing you for this very moment when you are about to step into something greater. God's timing is perfect, and He is never late. He doesn't work on human schedules or deadlines. He operates on a divine timetable that transcends our understanding. What may seem like a delay to us is actually a setup for a bigger blessing, a greater opportunity, and a more profound revelation of His will. In every season of waiting, God was preparing the ground for a harvest that would be more abundant than anything you could have imagined. Now that you've said yes to God's plan, now that you've chosen to obey Him, despite the challenges, despite the uncertainty, you are walking in divine alignment. Your obedience has positioned you perfectly for the blessings that are about to unfold. The doors that were once closed, the opportunities that once seemed distant, are now being unlocked because you have stepped into alignment with God's perfect plan. And when you align with God's will, everything that was once delayed begins to move at the speed of divine favor. This is not an accident. This is the result of God's plan coming to fruition. Every season, every hardship, and every moment of silence has been part of the divine orchestration to get you ready for what is coming. And now, as you stand at the threshold of this new season, you are stepping into divine alignment. And the blessings that were prepared for you before time began are now being activated in your life. As you move into this new season, you will begin to experience the activation of divine favor. It is no longer a distant hope or a prayer unanswered. It is now in motion. Divine favor is being activated, and with it comes a flood of opportunities that will seem almost like they appeared overnight. The doors that once felt locked will now open effortlessly before you. Opportunities that were once out of reach will now arrive with divine speed. And everything that has seemed out of place or unattainable will fall into alignment. It's important to understand that this isn't just about receiving blessings, it's about stepping into your divine destiny. The blessings you are about to experience are part of God's larger purpose for your life. They are divinely designed to empower you to fulfill your calling, to serve others, and to make a lasting impact on the world around you. This is the activation of everything you've been waiting for, everything you've prayed for, everything that God has promised you. Doors that once stood firm and shut will swing wide open. Things that once seemed impossible will now feel effortless. You've spent years waiting, growing, and preparing. Now is the season when everything you've been waiting for begins to manifest. You're not stepping into a season of uncertainty anymore. You are walking into a season of clarity and abundant favor. The path ahead is being revealed to you, and it will be illuminated by God's grace and favor every step of the way. This is your moment of activation. The favor that you have prayed for is now being poured out upon you. You will see it in your relationships, in your career, in your health, and in your purpose. The things that once seemed distant or out of reach are now within your grasp. Your obedience has opened the floodgates, and now you will experience a rapid flow of blessings that will bring both personal fulfillment and divine purpose. The favor you are walking into is not gradual, it is sudden, unexpected, and overwhelming. Sudden favor is one of the most powerful expressions of God's grace, and it often comes when we least expect it. Just as God parted the Red Sea suddenly for the Israelites, or when David was anointed king, the favor that is being activated in your life will come quickly and unexpectedly. For years, you may have waited for opportunities that felt out of reach. You may have prayed for open doors that seemed to remain closed no matter how hard you tried. But now, the tide is shifting, and favor is rushing toward you. Opportunities that once seemed like distant dreams will suddenly become within your reach. The doors that were closed will swing open with ease, and financial breakthrough, career advancement, and relationship restoration will come suddenly and without effort. Sudden favor is a divine acceleration. Where it took others years to build, you will see rapid progress. God is not only speeding up the process, He is blessing you with what you've been waiting for and more. The blessings that have been stored up for you will now be released, and the abundance that was once hidden will now be made visible. This sudden favor will surprise you. The favor that has been held back will now be released in waves. Don't be surprised if things you've been working on for years suddenly come to fruition. Don't be shocked if opportunities that seemed impossible come knocking at your door. This is the season of divine favor and accelerated blessings. Favor in relationships, favor in your career, favor in your finances. It's all coming suddenly. This is God's way of showing you that when you align with His will, His blessings will not come gradually, they will come with divine speed. You are walking into a season of favor where things will move quickly, and where the miracles you've been waiting for will now manifest suddenly. As the divine favor is activated, something incredible is happening in your life. Doors are opening. Where there once seemed to be no way forward, now there is a clear path. The doors that have been locked, the opportunities that have seemed distant, will now open with effortless ease. This is the season when God will open doors for you, doors that no one else can shut. You may have spent years knocking on doors that wouldn't open, waiting for the right moment. But now, the time has come, and God Himself is opening the doors that will take you to the next level. These are not ordinary doors. They are doors of divine favor, placed in your path to propel you forward into your destiny. Every area of your life is about to experience an unprecedented flow of divine favor. Career doors that seemed closed will now open. Financial doors that once felt locked will now swing wide open. Relationship doors that were distant will now be restored and aligned with God's will for your life. You've been positioned for favor and are now walking into a season where God will give you access to places and opportunities you once thought unattainable. These doors that are opening are not accidental, they are the result of your obedience. The willingness to stand firm in faith, and your decision to trust God even when the road was unclear. God is rewarding your faithfulness by opening these doors. And as you step into them, you will see the fullness of His purpose being revealed in your life. In this section, we've explored how divine timing has aligned everything in your life to bring you to this moment. The waiting is over, and divine favor is now in full motion. The blessings you've been waiting for are being released to you with divine speed. Opportunities, relationships, and financial breakthroughs are coming to you quickly and unexpectedly. The doors that were once closed are now opening, and you are walking into the next season that God has prepared for you. This is the moment of divine activation. And as you step forward in faith and obedience, you will see God's favor manifest in every area of your life. The shift is happening now, and you are ready to step into it. When you chose to obey God's voice, you were not just stepping into your own divine favor, you were opening the door to a legacy that will extend far beyond your own life. The moment you chose to follow God's call, to step forward in faith and obedience, you activated not just a blessing for yourself, but a blessing for future generations. This moment of obedience is not just about your personal gain. It is the beginning of something far greater, a legacy of blessing, restoration, and favor that will ripple through the generations to come. Obedience is not just about the present, it is about aligning with God's eternal purpose. Every time you choose to act in obedience, you are planting seeds that will bear fruit not just for you, but for your family, your community, and the generations who will come after you. The favor that is now being activated in your life is not limited to your immediate blessings. It is setting the stage for blessings that will overflow into the lives of those who are connected to you. Think of Abraham. His obedience to God's call not only brought blessings into his life, but set the stage for the blessing of nations. When God called Abraham to leave his homeland, He didn't just promise Abraham a personal inheritance, He promised him a legacy that would affect generations. God told Abraham, "I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing." Genesis 12:2. The obedience of one man changed the course of history, and the blessings that flowed to Abraham spilled over to his descendants, his people, and eventually, to the entire world. Your obedience to God's will has the same power. What you are stepping into today will not just affect you, it will affect your family, your community, and those who come after you. Your act of faith is not a small one. It is the beginning of a legacy that will continue to bless those around you for generations to come. As you walk into divine favor, your obedience will become the foundation for future generations to stand on. You are not just paving the way for your own success. You are planting seeds for your children and grandchildren. The blessings you receive are not for you to keep, they are to be shared, to be passed down. When God blesses you, He does so with an eye toward generational impact. The favor He is releasing into your life today is meant to spill over, to touch the lives of those who come after you. In a sense, your obedience today is setting the spiritual trajectory for your entire lineage. What you do now, the choices you make, the faith you choose to walk in, and the obedience you demonstrate will set the course for your children, your grandchildren, and even beyond. The divine favor you are receiving today is part of a greater plan, one that will bring blessings and breakthroughs not just for you, but for the generations that will follow. As you step into your divine purpose, It's important to realize that your obedience doesn't just affect your immediate circumstances. It spreads out like a rippling wave that touches everyone and everything in its path. The ripple effect of your obedience is far-reaching. It impacts not only your life, but the lives of those around you, those in your community, and even those you have yet to meet. The favor you are walking in today is not just for you. It is meant to overflow into the lives of others. When you walk in obedience to God's voice, it creates a divine ripple effect, a flow of blessings that will touch the hearts and lives of those you encounter. Your obedience is a conduit through which God's blessings can reach others. Just as God blessed Abraham to be a blessing to others, He is blessing you to be a blessing. This divine favor will affect your relationships. People who once saw you as just a friend, a colleague, or a neighbor will begin to see you differently. The favor of God on your life will cause people to take notice and be drawn to you. Your testimony will speak of God's goodness and His provision. And as people see the blessings in your life, they will be encouraged to seek God for themselves. Your story of faith will inspire others to step into their own divine calling. The ripple effect of your obedience will also touch your family. The blessings you receive will not just be for you to enjoy. They will spill over to your loved ones. Children, parents, spouses, and siblings will be affected by your obedience. God is using you to create generational favor, where your choices today will continue to influence and bless those who come after you. When you walk in divine favor, the influence of that favor stretches out to your loved ones, impacting their lives and drawing them closer to God. And as you walk into this new season, the favor you are receiving will not be limited to your immediate circle. It will spread to your community, your workplace, and beyond. The blessings you receive will create opportunities for others, encouraging them to step into their own divine purpose. The ripple effect is contagious. As you walk in favor, others will be encouraged to follow suit, stepping out in faith and claiming the blessings that God has for them. It's easy to think that favor is about personal success, about getting ahead, achieving dreams, and receiving blessings. But divine favor is about much more than that. It is about aligning yourself with God's greater purpose, a purpose that involves blessing the world and bringing others into the favor that you are receiving. The favor in your life is not meant to be hoarded. It is meant to be shared, to be extended, and to touch others in profound ways. The favor that God is pouring into your life today is designed to overflow into the lives of others. It is not just about you becoming successful, but about you becoming a vessel through which God's blessings can reach others. When you step into your divine calling and begin to walk in obedience, you become part of God's redemptive plan for the world. Your obedience and favor will create a chain reaction, a divine movement that touches and changes people's lives. Think of it this way: when you walk in God's favor, you become a beacon of light to those around you. As others see the blessings in your life, whether it's through your joy, your peace, or the miracles you experience, they will be drawn to the God who made it all possible. Your obedience is not just about your own success. It's about drawing others to the God who blesses, the God who transforms, and the God who is faithful to His promises. As your obedience spreads favor in your own life, it will have a multiplied effect in your community, your workplace, your family, and beyond. Your act of surrender, your decision to say yes to God's will have a ripple effect that brings blessings, favor, and restoration to those you love and those you meet along the way. As you walk in divine favor, you are not just stepping into blessings for yourself. You are setting the stage for a legacy of favor, a legacy that will extend beyond your lifetime. When you live in alignment with God's will, your obedience not only affects your immediate future, but also sets the foundation for generations to come. Your faithfulness will create a path for others, your children, your grandchildren, and even those who come after you to walk in the same divine favor. The favor that you are walking in today is not just for you. It is for your family and the future generations who will benefit from the seeds of faith you have planted. God has always been about generational blessing. The blessings He pours into you today are not just for you to enjoy, they are for you to pass on, to leave as an inheritance for those who come after you. You are the vessel of divine favor, and that favor will flow through you, bringing restoration, prosperity, and growth to your family and community. Your obedience has the power to shift the trajectory of future generations. What you do today, the choices you make, the faith you exhibit, and the blessings you receive will not only affect your own life, but will also change the lives of those who follow you. In this section, we've explored the impact of your obedience, not just on your own life, but on the generations to come. Your divine favor is a legacy of blessing, restoration, and favor that will extend into your family and community. As you walk in your divine purpose, you are not only creating ripples of blessing, but also leaving a legacy that will affect the lives of those around you and those who come after you. The favor that you receive is not just for you. It is meant to overflow and bless the world around you, drawing others into the same divine favor you have received. You are stepping into a season of divine favor, and this favor will continue to multiply and extend far beyond your life. You have entered a new season of favor, one that is unfolding right before your eyes, in ways you could never have fully anticipated. This moment, this divine unveiling marks a new chapter in your life, where everything that was once hidden is now being revealed in its fullness. The dreams you've carried in your heart, the promises that God has whispered to your spirit, are now coming into the light. The waiting is over, and God's plan for your life is unfolding with divine clarity and purpose. This is not just another step in your journey, this is the culmination of everything you've been through. The waiting, the trials, the seasons of uncertainty, all of it was preparation. You may not have fully understood it in the moment, but now, as you step into this season of favor, you can see how every trial, every delay, and every moment of hardship has shaped and refined you. God has been preparing you for this very moment, and now that it's here, you are ready. The strength you've gained through your struggles, the wisdom you've accumulated through the waiting, has brought you to this place where you are about to step into a divine release of blessings and favor. The trials were never in vain. Every moment of struggle, every tear, every question, every prayer you thought went unanswered, all of it was part of God's process to prepare you for the season of abundance that is now unfolding before you. The favor you are about to experience is God's divine gift, a gift that has been set aside specifically for you. It is not by your own doing or your own strength, but through your obedience and faithfulness that you are walking into this new season. God has seen your heart, your obedience, and your unwavering faith, and now He is honoring that with a supernatural outpouring of blessings and favor. What was once hidden, the promises, the opportunities, the relationships, is now being made visible and accessible. God is revealing His divine plan for your life in a way that you can see clearly. The doors that once seemed shut are now swinging wide open. The dreams that once seemed impossible are now within your reach. It's time to step forward confidently, knowing that you are walking in the divine favor that has been prepared specifically for you. This is no longer a time for waiting for blessings to arrive. They are here. And now it's time to walk into them. God's promises are not distant dreams. They are tangible blessings that you are stepping into right now. Every area of your life, your relationships, your career, your finances, and your purpose is aligning with the divine favor of God. The favor that you are experiencing is not a random gift. It is the result of your faithfulness, your obedience, and your trust in God's timing. You have been prepared for this moment. And as you step into this new season, know that God is with you every step of the way. The journey hasn't always been easy, but it has been worth it. The blessings you are about to walk into are the fruit of your labor, the reward of your faithfulness, and the manifestation of God's promises to you. Affirm that you are ready to step into these blessings. No more hesitation, no more fear. You have been chosen for this season. God has been faithful. And now it is time for you to embrace the favor that He has already set aside for you. It is time to walk in the fullness of what God has prepared. You are no longer standing on the sidelines, waiting for a sign. This is the moment when your divine favor is unfolding. And all you need to do is step into it. You are ready to receive. As you walk forward, trust that every blessing, every opportunity, and every moment of favor is part of God's divine plan. The gifts He is giving you will bring fulfillment, restoration, and purpose. God's favor will make the way clear, and everything you need to fulfill your calling will be provided. Step boldly, knowing that you are walking into the promises that have been ordained for your life. Now, I want you to take action. Type 777 in the comments as a symbol of your readiness to step into the divine favor that is now being activated in your life. 777 is not just a number, it is a declaration, a public affirmation that you are ready to step forward and claim what God has prepared for you. By typing 777, you are acknowledging that you are stepping into a new season of divine favor, and you are taking ownership of the blessings that are now being released in your life. This is a declaration of faith, a statement that you are aligning with God's perfect plan and receiving the favor He has promised. In this moment, I also encourage you to share this message with others who need to hear it. There are those in your life, family, friends, colleagues, who are waiting for their own divine breakthrough. By sharing this message, you can help them step into the favor that God is ready to pour into their lives as well. When you share, you not only spread God's word, but also spread the favor that has been released to you. Encourage others to subscribe to this empowering content so that they too can walk in the fullness of divine favor. Just as you are now stepping into, this is your moment. Embrace it with open arms. You've waited for this moment. You've been prepared for this moment. Now, the doors of divine favor are open, and everything that God has promised you is now unfolding. You are walking in the fullness of what God has ordained for you, and the best is yet to come. Take that step forward in faith. Trust in the divine favor that is yours. You are stepping into a season of blessing, favor, and divine purpose. The moment of unveiling has arrived. And this is just the beginning of the incredible journey that lies ahead.